guys, hope you guys are doing good. We're back with another video, and today I'm going to be giving you a very powerful strategy or approach that I use as we combine supply and demand with our BTMM concepts. Right now I'm going to be talking a lot on market structure. If you guys don't have any idea what market structure is, or you would like to learn more about it, do check out our previous video that we actually explained what market structure is and how you can combine those concepts with our BTMM. Right, I'll leave the link in the description below. Right, so to keep it easy, I'm going to be looking at GBP JPY. Right, so we'll start with our BTMM view. Right, as we start with the H4 time frame, it is very easy to see this. Of course, I'm not saying do not go and back test this. You need to, of course, back test it, validate it, and make sure that you know what you're doing before you trade this on a live account. Right, so it is very easy to see that we're at a peak reset right here. As you can see, this is a major W formation that actually took 2 weeks to play out. As you can see, this is the H4 time frame. Right, so we're going to be focusing on what happened from this peak formation. Right, so it is very clear to see, even if we go to the daily time frame, we can see that after we had a 5200 crossover, this was actually the first pullback to the 200 EMA, right, which makes this a safety trade. Right, this is a safety trade, one of our signature trades at MMK Forex Group. Right, so of course the 200 EMA in the daily is actually the 800 EMA in the H4. So that was a very good good looking peak reset there. If we go to our TDR, we can clearly see that we've got some, good divergence going on there. Good divergence going on there in the H4 time frame. So as we had this reset, I'm going to take it back to a clean chart. So we're going to talk about this clean chart and understand how you're supposed to trade such a market structure. Right, so you can clearly see that from this area, this was our demand area. Remember, I did speak about base areas. Right, this was our base area, and as you can see, as price came back to this area, right, from this first leg, as price gave us this first leg, right, we had a push going up. Right, now I want you to see what this push went and did up there. As you can see, this area was engulfed. As you can see, this is what we call an engulf right here. As you can see, this broke structure. This basically means that the market had given us a higher high. Right, the market had given us a higher high at that level. So in this type of market structure, this is the first signal that we get. Right? This is the first signal that we get showing us a change of structure, and in this case that was the first leg. And as you can see, as the second leg came back to your demand, if you were looking at it from our BTMM concept, you would be prepared for the second leg to play out at this 800 EMA as you were expecting this safety trade. Right, so if we go back to this area, we had our second leg forming. In this case, this demand held. Right, let me just clear this out. As you can see, this demand area held. Right, now as we pushed up, right, as you can see, this move, we have the first level rise into a consolidation. Right, so we'll just look at it from this area. First level rise into a consolidation, right, and then the second level rise. If you go to the BTMM view, you can see that we actually had 2 pushes within 1 week. The first push and then the second push. If we can look at it from the 1 hour time frame, what we can basically see here is this is how this played out. As you can see, we had a peak formation. Remember, this is the first leg. This was the first leg seen in the 4 hour time frame. But if we go to the H1 time frame, we can see that what basically happened here was this was a peak formation. Remember, we validated peak formation after 3 levels of rise or drop. Right, that's the only time that we're going to validate a peak formation. So I hope you guys remember that. I did speak about it in a previous video. All right, so let's go. We've got first level into a consolidation. All right, then we got the second day of drop, second level into a consolidation, and then we had the last level. And what I want you to notice about this last level is we had trend acceleration. Right, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and the dealer hit it. But what's interesting here is the last hit also had 1, 2, 3 hits. Right, and then we had a peak formation after 3 levels of drop. All right, Now remember, this was the 3 levels of drop which led to our first leg, which we see in the H4 time frame. If you look at your TDI, you can clearly see that we are at those extremes. All right, so by understanding this, right, as you can see, we had a peak formation, and then we had the first level of rise, as you can see. All right, from this area, we have the first level of rise into a consolidation. Right now, what's interesting is we've got a 1350 crossover and a nice information there. This is our 50 pounds, right? 50 pounds, which was good. As you can see, it came through as a stop hunt. You can clearly identify a 1, 2, 3, right? The dealer hits this area, and then from that area, this is where we went into our second level, right? Second level rise, as you can see, into a consolidation, and then we had our last level, right? But what's interesting about this last level is, let me show you from a clean chart, right? Let's go to the H1 time frame. Remember, we're talking about market structure. If you don't have any idea on what market structure is, don't be afraid to go watch. Do go and watch that video that I uploaded for you guys on market structure. Okay, so this is our peak formation, right? We know, okay, fine, that's our peak formation. We had the first level rise into a consolidation, right? Second level rise in this area, second level rise into a consolidation, as you can see, and then from this area, as you can see, we then have the last level rise. So this last level, as you can see, goes and actually breaks the previous structure, right? Giving us a higher high, right? Giving us a higher high. But if you go look at the bigger picture, you'd be able to understand that this is actually the mid-level, right? As you can see, this move, remember, this is a whole week. This is a whole week. So for this week, we had a peak formation, and for the rest of the week, this went up for 3 levels, which is good. But this 3 levels, remember, we are coming from a structure level. This is our peak formation, but in this case, we only have 1 leg given, right? So the dealer goes and breaks the structure, giving you a higher high, signaling that there's a change of structure, right? Instead of focusing on shorts, you need to start considering buys. But in this case, where do you consider those buys? At your base areas / demand. So this demand held, as you can see, price came back down here after breaking structure, right? And then we continued with our move up. So let's break it down going to the 1 hour time frame. All right, we've got 3 levels, and as you can see, here's a peak formation. Right now, for this peak formation, as you can see, the levels, we've got the first level. All right, pull back, there was a gap somewhere there, consolidation there, or you can take it down and call this the consolidation, but you can see that's a consolidation. And then the last level drop, giving us a second leg, right? You need to understand your bigger picture, right? So our second leg has been given, and what I like about this is we even have a bullish we had a bullish engulfing there, right? A bullish engulfing candle, right, at that second leg. What did our TDI show us? Beautiful, look at that. Very good divergence at our extreme, right? So by you understanding that that's a peak formation, you would know the direction that you should now start focusing on, right? You should know the direction that you're going to start focusing on. So going back from this area, you can see the market started pushing up. Let's go count the levels, because this is how price moved from that decision point. This was the first consolidation. All right, so if we go to the H1 time frame, let's just find the second leg right here, right? So what can you see? You can clearly see that we've got the first level rise into a consolidation, right? First level rise into a consolidation, right? We also have PA 3D going to that area, so that's amazing. That's a nice sorry about that. That was a nice structure right there. If you zoom in, you can see that at this area, got that 3D at a decision point. This is a decision point. A nice rally, base rally there. So this would be a nice area for you to keep an eye on. Now for Confluence, you can use a fib from the low to the high, as this is the first level, and wait for your trades at the 50, 61, 80. So Confluence is amazing at this area. So you're then going to expect your second level of rise from there. So what do we have? got the second level of rise, which was actually a nice day of rise into a consolidation, and then from that consolidation we then had the last level rise, right? So after the last level rise, what can you identify? This was a whole week of rise. Right now, to remove confusion, let's go back to our H4 time frame. Right, so this was a whole week of rise, right? I mean, those were good pips that you're going to take advantage of right there. So what does this move do? This move also goes and breaks structure. This structure, previous structure, was broken, right? That previous structure was broken. Now let's go look at how this played out. After this previous structure was broken, we just had a pullback. Right now, if we clear this up, right, look at this. When we had this peak formation, remember this is the week that we had a peak formation, second leg, right? So after this rise, we have a 1350 crossover, confirming the lock of this peak. So this was actually the first pullback to the 50 EMA, right? So you could take this trade as this is the first pullback to the 50 EMA, which was given at this point, right? And you had an opportunity to bank some pips. This being your safest take profit, the previous high. You take your profit. You know, you had a good opportunity to actually make money on that. But remember, it's always wiser to wait for a structure breaker. So as the price pushed up, right, we did break structure. We've got a nice retracement. Let's see. Okay, from this retracement, if you go to the H1 time frame, well, let me just clear everything here, guys. Since you've been following me, I trust. Okay, so when you look at a chart in this case, you've got a clean structure breaker. Remember, this is just one leg, right? Look at how powerful a second leg structure is in the H4 time frame. You get the chance to bank over 400 pips, right? So same thing here. We've got the first leg, right? And then price pushes up, right? Same thing that happened here, guys. If you look at this, this is the same thing. We had first leg, price pushed up, broke structure, and then came back to the demand area and continued. Same thing that happened here. Price pushes up, we've got the first leg, right? And then price will push up, breaking the structure, giving us a higher high. So when this is a higher high, you then need to locate where your decision point is. In this case, your decision point would be down here. This is where your decision point would be, right? So if your decision point is here, you also need to look at your PA, right? What is the structure approach back to that area? We've got a nice 3D. So from this 3D drive, right, you had the opportunity to enter right there, right, and then take it all the way up. This being our STP, safest take profit, right? So if you're going to calculate your risk, you're going to be risking somewhere from 15 pips, 20 pips, and your safest take profit would be 178 pips. If you took this trade, you'd be floating somewhere 120 pips, right? So let's go look at it from our BTMM perspective. Right now, remember, I spoke about, remember, this is still considered a 50 bounce. This is just a W formation on the 200 EMA, which also took 2 weeks to play out, right? The best setups, if you're going to focus on the H4 time frame, the best setups, right, will take time to form, right? Forex is 15% buying, 15% selling, and 70% waiting, right? You are gonna wait. So as you can see, this setup, which is similar to this setup, took 2 weeks to play out. All right, now let's go check it out in the H1 time frame, just so we see how this setup played out. So after the structure was broken, right, we also had a price approach. Let's go look at it from the H1. This is the price approach we're talking about, back to a decision point. Right now, for those people who have an idea on supply and demand trading, they'll be able to understand that this was actually a very interesting key level, right? This was a very interesting key level right there. As you can see, we have got a reaction there, a reaction there, another reaction there, and another reaction there, and so forth, right? So a nice key level. Now in this case, this was going to be our over-under area, right? Over-under area, and in this case, it was not respected. So this was a nice IOU. Right, I know, let me not confuse you with these terms, but to keep it simple, if you are looking at it from the BTMM perspective, you would know that after a 1350 crossover, after a peak formation is formed, you're going to wait for a trade on the 50 EMA, right? So as we went there, as you can see, this is what happened. We had the first day, right? Remember, this took weeks. So if I'm going to count, if I had I just won't know which day this was, but as you can see, if you go to the H4 time frame, this was actually near the low of the previous week, near the low of the previous week. But what's important is the drive, right? The 3 push drive going to that area, which is our approach right there. So you know that you are looking for a trade there. Why? Because we've got the 5200 crossover there, and this was actually a nice interaction where at our 200 EMA, right? What do we have on TDI? 1 leg out, 1 leg in. A safer trade would be the RSI above the signal line and the market baseline, but this is your H1 time frame. So your trade, if you're going to look at it from this area, you had an opportunity to risk 12 pips, 20 pips, right, and have you take profit at 175, which is great, right? Which is great stuff, guys. So if we look at it from our BTMM perspective, let's look at it from the 15 minutes time frame. If you're going to use your supply and demand concept, you would be able to buy instantly as the market gets right there, right, and minimize your risk. As you can see, this makes so much sense, guys. What do we have? We had a peak formation, level 1, level 2, last level being a trap. As you can see, we've got the blue tracer in sight, making this a high probable trade, right? So some people, if you know what you're doing, if you look at your TDI, you can see we've got a nice shock fin, right? That would be a nice entry. But for those who want to wait for confirmation, there we go. We've got a nice W formation right there. You wait for a close above the 13 EMA and you enter. In this case, your risk might be increased a bit, as you can see, but remember, you can always find ways to minimize your risk. But remember, you need to calculate your risk at all times, right? So by you understanding the movement that we're coming from our demand area, you would know the direction, right? You would definitely know the direction which you want to see price push to, right? So what do we have? Peak formation, and as you can see on this day, we've got the 1350 crossover, and then price played around that 50 EMA, and then we moved. As you can see, we did not have a stop hunt on this day, right? We just had a manipulation candle there. So we had a very good opportunity to enter this trade. If we look at this from supply and demand, let me show you something, right? So from this area, this is what had happened, right? This was our peak formation, remember, guys. So as we had this level 1 into a consolidation, this move that happened during Asian session did something. It broke these previous structures. This structure was broken. Structure is important, right? This structure was also broken, right? So look at that, structure has been broken, right? So what are we waiting for? We want to see price coming back to a base area. Where is that base area? Here's a nice base area right here, and as you can see, as price came down after breaking structure, it came to this area, and then we continued going up, right? If you look at it, very simple. We've got the first push. If you missed it, this second push breaks the structure. Look at that, price comes back down, respect this demand, right? We respect this demand. As you can see, price does this and then comes back down to the demand. So you had an opportunity to enter your trade there, right? So what do we have? Look at that, you had an opportunity to then enter your trade right here. If you were an Asian session guy, or if you woke up at London session, you had multiple opportunities for you to take advantage of this. And look at that, it goes into the stop hunt box, 84 pips, and as you can see, a nice peak formation going the other direction. So why do you have level 1 into a consolidation, level 2 into a consolidation, level 3? Why not take your profit? So this is a very easy strategy that you can apply when having your analysis, right? But remember, you need to be very selective. You will not find this on every pair that you open, and definitely this might not come every day. But remember, risk management is always important, right? Risk management is always important. But trust me, if you apply this to every trade that you trade, wait for a structure breaker in line with the market maker cycle, you will definitely increase your accuracy and your trading results. All right, guys, I hope you guys have learned something. If you guys have any questions, do drop those questions in the comment box. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon to be the first to watch and to be notified when I upload any new content. Money is the servant.